Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm Garrett. He's Kyle, making funny faces as he gets started. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing good. Those are my warm-up faces. You gotta, get the tongue, the mouth ready to say the words.
Yeah. Otherwise, you end up you miss syllables.
Exactly. We have important things to say, like I'm reading the notes here. Garrosh is bad. And people have to know and hear clearly what our intent is and what our words are.
If we were only going to do a show about our personal experiences in Heroes of the Storm this week, I would go, I don't think Garrosh works right now, folks, and then that would be the end of the show for me.
Then music rolls and that's the end, yeah.
I had a busy week, Kyle, so my heroes time was limited, and my heroes time that I had was all losses. I haven't won a single game this week.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's been a rough one. Garrosh just seems rough right now. I don't mean to deflect to other players because I was not the one playing the Garrosh, but there is really strong poke right now. There's a lot of strong, highly skilled poke happening in Heroes of the Storm right now. And so Garrosh doesn't really get to toss what Garrosh wants to toss.
No. He tosses tanks into your backline. And surely in a poke meta, you want the tank in your backline, right? I mean, that's what you want.
Yeah, so if the issue that Garrosh can't toss the target he wants to toss because blasts keep coming in, surely opening up the kind of the alleyway for that poke to then also just focus your backline is the way to lose every game you play. It's not working. I actually had I'm at the point now where I would rather see a Diablo on my team than a Garrosh. That's the point that I'm at.
I'd like to take a moment here to say that we have avoided trashing on Diablo for a while now.
Yes.
And you're all welcome. His win rate is still 46% and really bad, but we tuned it back, and I actually played my first Diablo game ranked game anyway, in 4 months, maybe 6 months.
Ooh, okay, all right. How did it go for you? Were you solo queuing?
Yes, yeah.
You're a brave man.
They had a Medivh, and the best counter to Medivh is Diablo because he does his portal business, and you say, no, you can't touch that portal. And you push him away, and he goes, oh, no, my whole strategy involved touching this portal. And he does nothing while he panics and tries to walk into it. And then you pick him up, and you go, no, touching your portal. And the portal runs out of time. And he's fabulous. In fact, Not Paradox just did a video on it, too. The Lightning build is back. This is where you go all the Fire Stomp talents, increase your spell power, increase your damage reduction, so 50% damage reduction if it hits enough heroes and kind of stacks on them. What you do now that's so different from the Diablo we were all struggling with is Devil's Due. So in the past, it was Feast on Fear, stunning an enemy hero with Shadow Charge or Overpower automatically stuns. You get 12% of your max health over 3 seconds. We were using this to just be brawl machines. Getting in there, getting on the Dragonshire, unstoppable health, regen. Well, you may have noticed recently that all of our healers are struggling to heal tanks, it seems. I think that's why Garrosh is awful right now, but we'll get to that in a moment. Devil's Due gives you bonus healing to regen globes and healing fountains, increasing per soul you have. Ideally, you want to have max souls and ideally not die. So a well from 0 will take you to 100. You grab an orb, and then you lightning breath while you're kind of regenning insanely, and you just did the double fire stomp that's giving you 30% bonus spell power, and you control the whole fight, and it works out pretty well if you're taking him in a place where you actually need to displace that enemy. Or, as I'm sort of noticing now because of the popularity of Vala Hanzo, if you're just going to be poked to town and back, regardless if you have that Johanna blind and regen or Stitches regen, you simply cannot deal with the amount of poke that enemy is putting out, so you Diablo to destroy that person.
Gotcha. Yeah, we didn't really have time to talk about this because 2-3 weeks ago, beginning of the season, Kira hit, and we've been busy talking about Kira for the last few weeks on this show. But I had a session of Heroes a few weeks ago, very shortly after the new season hit, where I ended up in. It was a full stack. I ended up in a 5-stack in Storm League. Something I haven't done in a while. Just kind of happened. It wasn't planned, and we played most of our games with Diablo. And it was amazing. It was one of the best sessions of Heroes of the Storm I've had this year. But to that's why I was asking you if you were solo queuing. I completely understand now why you would Diablo, even in a solo queue environment against a Medivh. Totally makes sense. But we were not doing it to counter the Medivh. We were just doing it because all 5 of us were on comms, and we could make really dumb things happen with Diablo.
Yeah, you can up that level of aggression. Same thing with Uther, right? When someone takes Uther in solo queue, you're basically saying, we're all dead if we have an extended fight. So everybody forward. I feel the same way about an Uberak right now, who I kind of refuse to touch. He is just paper. It's fine. He does a job really, really well, and it's called stunning. And I don't trust my team to do that with me all the time in solo queue.
Yeah. So I've come around to Diablo. I still think it's risky in a non-coordinated environment. But yeah, man, the poke is real. And
Garrosh doesn't have that ability at all. He is going to pick one person, and it's normally going to be the tank now that we're in this sort of backline meta with the popularity of things like Johanna being in the early bans in my league too, which thank goodness, because oh my goodness, what a great break it's been to have those bans roll out. And I'm like, finally, I'll look other places. I'm not going to not play Johanna just because I've been doing it so much. I want to win. I want to give my team the best chance they have. I would highlight Garrosh's problem with the current meta entirely on Bloodthirst. Deal baby damage for Garrosh. It's a big axe. It's always been kind of weird, and heal for 10% of Garrosh's missing health. 100% bonus against heroes. Oh, dear, this does nothing. And Stitches, because of the short range, still has to be like trundle. Okay, and you get a huge amount of health back. And you might even stack a quest to increase that amount of regen that you get. Garrosh has to trundle, connect this, all the while being poked during that trundle, and it's negligible. It has no impact. Maybe you're on Haunted Mines and you do something like In for the Kill or Infernal Shrines. That's what we used to do on Haunted Mines, so that you get a reset on it, but it's and then auto attacking heroes reduces the cooldown. Like there's no way, and that's why everyone does Indomitable. And it's just not what the tank has to do right now, because our support healing numbers just aren't in that throughput at the moment. Our poke backline is too weak, and if it takes damage, they have to heal them. They're not going to heal the tank, which is a fascinating chain of events leading to a huge amount of tilt on Muradin players this week, or at least what I've finally discovered. Apparently it's been around for a while. J-How was on the show saying, oh my God, don't ever Q build around me ever. But I'm really starting to see the butting of heads of that philosophy.
Oh, for Muradin. Yeah, I saw you put out a survey. Got a lot of votes. Got a lot of votes on your Muradin survey. And my issue with your survey, Kyle, is it's your audience. The replies. So you
expect them to be more, it depends.
Yes, exactly. 100%. It's a bunch of little Ferglings that are actually responding to your survey. And so I don't know if you've noticed this, but we have a very rational and sane following on this podcast. People that are open to different lines of thinking and adapting to the game of heroes that they are currently playing in the moment. So you go and read through your replies, and there's a lot of people talking about how they flex their talent picks depending on the situation that they find themselves in. What a novel concept that is, right?
But still, 32 people or 32% of people perform a full Q build, and this has, in Diamond League, caused a tiny bit of stir. Muradin goes Q at level 1. This is Perfect Storm. Every time he hits a Storm Bolt, increase its damage by 5. maybe there's one person that's like, oh, why'd you do that, Muradin? You're our only tank. We'd really like some third wind. Help out your hero a little bit, but whatever, we'll let it slide. Just don't go sledgehammer or wait a minute. That's it, right? It's sledgehammer. Checking.
I don't have it up in front of me at this exact moment.
Yeah, Sledgehammer, 350% bonus damage to non-heroic targets. People do it on Battlefield of Eternity. It's okay. Like, you're going to do Machine Gun Jaina there, even though it's rather vulnerable. Like, it's fine. And that's then the reaction in Diamond. But over the last couple of weeks, I've been coaching in Gold a lot, and Golds will throw. They will lose their minds when they see a Muradin do a Q build, or at the very least, take level 1 Q. And it's pretty crazy that someone would make that decision out of the gate to throw an entire game. Everyone who is in the, I'm going to divide the audience here. I'm going to be polarizing. In the not Paradox camp, you have Q-build Muradins who are going to go delete the enemy that would be deleting you. So Vala, Kael'thas in the late game, you're going to jump them. You're the only tank. It doesn't matter. You jump in there, boo, blow them away. You're on fire. You're regenning. Oh my God, invincible Muradin. Everybody dies. It's amazing. You don't invest in full Q. And then we have the J-Hal camp, which is preaching never ever. You are the only tank. Oh my God, what is wrong with you? And this is now reverberating through all leagues and causing this really bizarre split.
Yeah, it's weird because if we look at the stats available to us, Perfect Storm is the clear most popular talent, without a doubt, at level 1. Significant lead over Block and Third Wind. And I knew you were going to talk about this, so I was looking earlier, and I'm like, well, let me uncheck Bronze and Silver. Nothing against Bronze and Silver, but let's just see what the higher end is doing. And it still holds true. Perfect Storm, still the most popular. However, if you look at overall, if you're over on like a hero's profile, if that's what you're looking at for your statistics, overall, it shows Perfect Storm not only is the most popular, but the highest win rate. Although very small margin between all 3 level 1 talents. But if you get rid of Bronze and Silver, Kyle, do you know what happens? Block rockets to be the highest win rate talent at level 1, and it's like a no contest. It is multiple percentages higher in the win rate than Perfect Storm or Third Wind. Perfect Storm and Third Wind are basically tied if we're looking at Gold and above.
What's the popularity of Block?
Very low, the lowest by a lot. We're looking at about a 10% pick rate on Block.
So maybe we can say that the only auto attack damage might be a Hanzo, or we're fighting a hammer we have to close on, something extreme.
I would like to think that Block is being taken because it should be. That they're looking at the opposing enemy composition and saying, all right, I'm going to take some auto attacks. There's not a tracer. Let's take Block. And not just 10% of the Muradin population that are just locking it in. I do the same thing on Sonya sometimes. Yeah. So, but Perfect Storm still the most popular with over a 60% pick rate.
It's a fascinating result of the community, perhaps without HGC to tell them what they might be taking in what situations. It has caused a pretty big breakdown, and a lot of games are having throws in them simply because Muradin is the most popular tank in lower leagues. I think that's a horrible tank, frankly, and I'm curious how we could fix that. It'd be cool if Muradin was a bit more multi-class, a bit more bruiser tank, because you can play like a tank, but I really, with your health and your damage and Perfect Storm in tow, I kind of want you to just go delete. Just get on back there. Delete that Vala. I'll tank up here with my ETC, my Johanna, my Stitches, whatever. You go be crazy. That's how I picture Tyrael. Actually, we haven't talked about this in a while. Tyrael he has a crazy build, which kind of makes you a Genji, if you will. It is an auto attack build. And if you've been playing this game for a long time, you're like, Tyrael auto attacks? What are you smoking, Kyle? Well, the best angelic stuff here, because this is amazing. You go in the back line, you deal bonus damage, you increase your auto attack to an insane amount, and yes, you'll probably do judgment with it because you're alone anyway. So why not? And you delete backline characters. And when I see a Tyrael on my team, I'm excited and I want to make this mental switch with Muradin. but we don't. And I think a lot of people end up with solo tank materials as well, and doesn't do the best. So we have a problem here in our poke meta. We have tanks with the fortitude and resilience to dive and the damage to follow it up if they do the right build. But we have to run another tank with it. And if I'm any show of this, even after 6 months of being a tank main, we're a little bored. What can you do to enhance Garrosh, to match Stitches, maybe, to vary us up a little bit more often?
Okay, I'm following you there, and some of the replies to your tweet had that. We're talking about that as well, about the advantage of a higher damage Muradin. So clearly, there's a desire, I think, from players to fulfill that role as this hero.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're off the reservation, Kyle. But anyways, before we get into the news this week, we do have some announcements to make. First off is that next week is the Bonanza. It is the Patron Bonanza next Thursday. So if you are supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN, head on over there and sign up. The Bonanzas are what happens once a month. We get together a little bit after we record the live show of Into the Nexus, and in the evening on Thursdays, we get together with our patrons and we head into Unranked and we play some games. And the last many, we have ended up in the green, Kyle. We've been doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Been doing pretty well. So it's one of multiple perks you can get if you sign up to support Into the Nexus over at patreon.com/ITN. And while we're doing that, thanks to our producers, Declan H., Cheesy Bob, Chris K., and Robert M., and also one of our latest patrons, Decibel. Thank you, not only for helping me measure loudness, but supporting my podcast. So check it out, patreon.com/ITN. You'll also get access to the patron-only Discord and some other things as well. But Kyle, we have it's a quieter week, but there is some news to talk about. So let's get into it.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
Point me to the stage.
Stay a while and listen.
It's time to talk about the bronze situation, Kyle. We've been talking about it for weeks now. Basically, since the first official season of Storm League kicked off, and we started seeing wild points adjustments for some of us, and really kind of just the same old as ever if you're Kyle Fergusson. But
I played a lot.
Yeah, but as we've talked about the last couple of weeks, if you were in low bronze, you may see like as low as 10 or 15 points movement on wins or losses. And just to catch you up, if you haven't listened to the last couple of episodes, Kyle, you were putting forward that it was most likely that the folks that are experiencing these extremely low adjustment points when winning or losing, that their MMR was so low that they were technically in a league below bronze 5, but there was no bronze 5. So they're just kind of it's like when you're on E in a car, that you're pegged. It is down at the bottom, and if it could go lower, it would, but it refuses to snap off.
There's an E in the car?
Yes, for empty.
Like the check engine light?
No, E for empty.
Oh, like a tank. Oh, God.
Yes,
I was thinking of my stick. You got D, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I've never seen an E there. So I got the empty tank. Cool. All right.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, so this is more like the reverse empty tank, though, because I've got one of those cars where when I fill it up, it's like, I'm full. Oh, I couldn't possibly eat any more. And for like a week, it'll be like, I'm so full. And then we get to empty, and it's just like the whole way. So that extra gas is piled in the bottom.
Yeah. Anyway, we have it's back to the Brown situation, unless my analogy is that we, up until now, we haven't heard from the Heroes team on the subject of just what the heck is going on with these really low bronze numbers. You and I were just making assumptions based on this phenomenon is probably not the right word, but more than one player is experiencing this, so they're not crazy. This is indeed happening. And we finally got a word from the Heroes team this week in a post that went up that was titled Storm League Bronze 5 Update. It's a really catchy title, y'all. And it's pretty wordy, but I'm just going to hit the main points here. They did say that with Storm League Season 1 that they have seen a dramatic improvement in rank distribution and that overall they are very happy with the changes. However, in their words, we are aware of the inconsistencies players are currently experiencing in Bronze 5. Under the hood, matchmaking rating is simply a number on a bell curve. Every league and division encompasses a range of values on the same curve. The reason for the decrease in points awarded in Bronze 5 is that the range of ratings that maps to Bronze 5 is much larger than other divisions. So like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 in Bronze is a much larger chunk than 4 through 1, although I don't quite understand their graph as a result because they assign numbers to it. Whatever the case is, they continue to say the difference is that this much larger range of ratings still maps to the same number of rank points, and as a result, despite being rewarded the same change in matchmaking rating, the rank points awarded may be lower. We understand that this inconsistency is a negative experience for players, so we will be exploring some ways to improve it. I would like to talk about something visual for a second, Kyle, on a show that I know is predominantly consumed by an audio-only audience. They put up a bell curve.
Mm-hmm.
So they show us all of the ranks divided. And 5 on Bronze is visually looks larger than all of Masters and GM. But 4 through 1 in Bronze says 4,000 and 5 says 1,000. So I guess that's what they're trying to illustrate.
Right. So they're showing that the amount of MMR that 1,000 points is covering is still the 1,000 points that you see in 4, 3, 2, and 1. But it's covering a huge range of MMR, which means when you move up a very small amount of points because Bronze 5 is so large.
Gotcha. So my question to you, because we've been batting this ball back and forth for weeks now, is to me, there's two places my brain goes, and I'm curious which one you prefer more, which is, would you like to see them add a league below Bronze? Or would you like them to make an exception for Bronze 5 and just say, we're just going to keep you within the 200-point range as best we can?
So what actually needs to happen here is what happens in Masters. If you wanted to be pure and beautiful for robots, you would have that person lose negative points, and you would have infinite negative points. And Bronze 5 would go on forever. It would be negative Masters, and that would be tied to your MMR. It'd be hideous. It would be soul-destroying, and you can't expect those players to return nor enjoy the current system. What we could do is just gamify it. I think that taking this league and making it Iron, as we talked about in the past, would lead to an eventual breakdown of Iron, because eventually people would lose through Iron, and then you'd be in another situation. Do you just stop them at 0? Maybe the best thing to do at that level would just be to gamify it, make it feel as good as possible. Have it so that every season you never lose points. You can only gain points. And eventually you reach, let's say, Bronze 5, and that is now an actual functional league where you go up by 200 and whatnot. And maybe that goes to hell a bit due to the season, but that's where we get a little elitist and are like, okay, well, if you're playing so much that you climbed out of Iron into Bronze, surely you learn something and you can avoid being Bronze further. There's no reason you should be in Bronze. There's disconnects, there's throws. Yeah, but vault forward and destroy their faces. It's so easy for us to picture that. I know it's entirely different. I've been watching all this gold, guys. Like, I get, like, things are really, really weird. So someone doesn't pick a tank in the opening and someone goes, well, fine, we don't get a tank or healer. And you're like, well, how did these two thoughts join into one? Where did this tilt come from? Are you insane? It happens. I think we just admit that. And we make a kind of bogus league out of it. Why not?
It's kind of my thoughts as well. I'm very, very curious to see what the Heroes team is thinking of I'm really wishing we got a bit of a tease here, but I completely understand why we didn't. Because they promise something and then they change their mind, or it doesn't work out, or the Sims don't end up working the way they thought, and you don't want to get hopes up on something like this and not deliver or overpromise. So
it's tough. Every ranked rework or even update they do is a promise to the people who decided against ranked in the first place. They decided it was too toxic for them. They don't get to play the hero they want anyway. When they do any sort of update, those people get hurt again because they come back and experience some amount of toxicity, some unbalanced match, and you can't please them all. So they're right to avoid even telling us what's in their heads. And that's sad. I'd be fascinated to know. It's ranked anxiety is not something I deal with, but I understand.
Yeah. It's the gamification of ranks is something I find really interesting, and I think it could a focus on that for Bronze 5 here would go a long way to finding a solution that feels better.
Yeah. I mean, the system's working in the Smurf way, because when you place a new account, you're getting 500, and if you are winning and crushing, you get out of there fast, and you do not waste a lot of people's time getting to a more proper placement for you. It does swing wildly, and you're going to affect those games you're in, but at least we have a system that backs that up. I would be thrilled to see what we just talked about, a gamification of Iron. I would be thrilled to see that really gamified. Like, Overwatch has some basic principles in it where it kind of suggests, well, you sort of need a healer, you sort of need a tank. Like, can we perhaps lock you down into such a thing? And maybe you don't know how to play, but no one knows how to play, so whatever. Like, just pick something in this range. That's what the quests are supposed to do. The quest saying healer there that you say, I don't want, is supposed to teach you how to heal, so when you go into ranked, you can fill. But that's not how it works. People want to play what they want, and what can we do to make them enjoy the system?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I find that's another thing that is occupying a lot of my brain space recently is thinking about the forced draft in Overwatch. And the major negative to that new system in Overwatch that I keep hearing is that the downside is that you can't switch if you find yourself in a situation where no, we definitely need more damage. You can no longer in the middle of the fight switch and bring that to the fight. This is a MOBA. We're locked in from the beginning. There is no switching. So that system potentially, if that's where we have found ourselves with the new Overwatch system, talking about how that's the major downside, system might actually work better for a Heroes type game.
I also saw a gold Asmodan this week with Bruiser, a tank as his main portrait sort of selection. Only ever Asmodan. So we would have to lock their actual selection as well as having them declare what role they want. But that's interesting. How cool would it be if you were to go to ranked and it would say, hey, rank's full of tanks and supports right now, get in here, damage dealers. Or the opposite, if you feel like playing a tank, select that. Kind of a looking for group LFR system.
Yeah, the concern I have with forcing people to pick within whatever icon, the two icons they pick before they even head in, is longer draft times or longer queue times.
Yeah. Which they do need to address.
What do you mean?
I mean, I don't mean that in like politics. We kiss babies and we love, address queue times. It's a useless statement, but I'm saying that right now we have a bell curve in a population. Why are silvers, golds, plats having 10-minute queues while diamonds and masters are having 6-minute queues, shorter queues? I'd assume it's because we're in that 200-point range. We have very figured out MMR. So it says you masters plus diamond 3. Okay, that doesn't work the best, but we're going to do 2 diamond 1s and 1 diamond 4. Perfect. We pulled it off. And because those MMRs are so set, because the amount of games those players play, it can make those decisions faster. But it is disheartening for these golds to go to a stream and be like, oh man, queues are awesome. Then go to their own play and say, oh, well, wait, 10 minutes? I was lied to. My queue should be better.
I think it's also a population issue if you're talking about queue times. I mean,
True,
the bell curve more or less proves that. I mean, the closer you get to Bronze 5 or Masters, the fewer players there are in that range.
But then why are my queues faster?
I don't know.
Say that's the question. It could just be the time I play. I play middle of the day, and people who main this game probably play whenever the heck they want, and gold might be really filled out at 10 p.m. at night.
Maybe that's the case. I'm not sure, but this is very fascinating, and I am anxiously awaiting news of what they're going to do about it.
Let's see. I hope they use it as a learning opportunity and apply the basics to that league that allows them to flourish as they grow and forces them, hopefully, to enjoy some other roles. There's really fun builds on your tanks. You don't have to be boring.
Yeah. I need to spruce up my ETC.
Me too. I've been trying to get into it again. I've got stitches now, so I've been focusing on that. Oh, poor Arthas, man. This show, if there is a Cosmopolitan article in this show that is like eggs for health or backless dresses, I don't actually know, but Arthas is the Cosmopolitan article here. He's in, he's out. He's in, he's out. He's the most amazing thing ever. Everybody, Arthas. No. Sell. It's awful. What are you doing? Arthas is just butts right now. A solo lane bruiser, sure, but man, I put a lot of work into him. He's not working out.
He is in the top 10 if you remove bronze and silver from the equation.
Well, as a solo laner in my book, nobody want to tank. I don't want to tank solo. Chances are too high.
He's doing very well. Yeah. No, I mean that's why ETC is at the tip top of my get good at this hero list, because I legitimately enjoy playing ETC. I think ETC's kit is fun, and I enjoy being on that hero. Dude, when I am on Johanna, I am bored to tears. I hate playing Johanna. I really dislike just pressing W and waddling in, hoping I get something.
Okay. All right. Hopefully today's strategy section will seduce you to have fun on her.
I hope so, because it is among my least favorite things to do in the game right now.
I know I'm not helping. It's because the amount I play, like it is an early pick right now. For some reason, actually this week, like first pick Alarax. It was really like everybody first pick Alarax. And then you judge him really hard. Like that was the team's goal. Alarax, very first Discord strike pull in. Did it hit something? Okay, cool. We're okay with this first pick. Otherwise, what the hell are you doing? You wasted our first pick. Oh my God, Alarak. But it was everywhere. She's an early pick, though. Side note. Johanna, that's why I'm playing her so much, because people say, ooh, oh, do you play Johanna? I looked at your profile, or you just showed it. Let's get that early. I'm gonna sell you. That's my goal and strategy.
Okay. All right. Well, before we get to that, we did have some blue comments this week. The first off is a tease from Daybringer about a Nova rework. And Daybringer said that, kind of confirming what we already knew, which is Nova has always been hard for the team to design and balance. And also that applies to basically every stealth hero in the game. But Daybringer went on to say, quote, for fun, one of the ideas that the team has been excited to play around with was adding a sensor type mechanic to Nova's trait. And Daybringer described that as think sensor towers with red exclamation marks showing nearby enemies. I would say think that Kira talent you can take, but I don't think are we right now? Are we taking that? I haven't played much Kira in the last week.
At 10? No, not normally, but it's fun, much like the Illidan talent where you get to see people. And that is actually different, though. He's talking about a sensor tower from StarCraft, which showed a moving exclamation point without actually showing you what the unit was. So in some of the Terran missions, you would have this thing, a bunch of little exclamation points come run at your base. You're like, oh, well, at that speed, they must be Zerglings, get ready. And then the big lumbering exclamation points would come around and go, oh, Ultralists.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's really the only tease we get about a possible rework. But they want to make her a more capable roamer. which kind of scares me because every time Nova's been a capable roamer, it's always been high alert constantly. But maybe it won't be as bad now because of the movement speed increase. I feel like we're all on high alert all the time, regardless of what heroes we're playing against.
He does say this would allow her to roam more efficiently and potentially add more scouting value to her kit, which her clones were originally designed to do. And I take this as a full-blown, originally designed to do, you butts. We gave you damage on your hollow decoy so that people wouldn't be immediately in the know, that they would be tricked by this illusion and say, oh, wow, real Nova, let's stun her. Oh my God, use your cooldowns. I took damage. I'm scared. But what you did instead was not do cute tricks. You decided not to scout with it or anchor with it. You decided back in the day that you were going to dump all your talents into it and use it as super mega burst. And then we're like, okay, cool. We understand you're having issues. Let's see, getting away, doing the scouting thing, doing these picks. Let's see if maybe we can give you one more tool for your kit. And we're going to allow you to, be unrevealable for a time. But what did you do? You went further and said, no, I spawn bonus illusions so they can do 10% damage so I can do as much damage as possible in one big burst. And they are pissed at you. That's the way I read this. And my goodness, wouldn't that be nice? Oh my goodness.
If you truly read it that way, then it's if you believe that, then they're coming for that.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't blame them, because honestly, when I think of Nova, you know what I don't think of? I don't think of a summoner hero, and that's what Nova has basically become.
Yeah. How cool would it be if someone said, Garrosh, okay, our main tank and our only front line is Garrosh. He has no way to anchor. He has no escape. He has he has an unstoppable later on, so that's okay. But, he doesn't pop his own shield to walk out of there like Johanna. He can't do his walk like Leoric can to get out of dodge free. He can't power slide over walls thanks to a talent. So we're going to take Nova so she does the anchoring, and Garrosh can stay back and actually take care of his team. How cool is that idea?
In theory, very.
But you're still going to press both your buttons, use it for burst damage because it deals 10%, and play Nova that way.
I guess time will tell.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's not something this game uses. Scouting. You're very rarely, because of movement speed, because of map size, thinking, where's Greymane? He's been gone a really long time. We need to send someone looking for him. Ooh, we found him doing a camp. Like, it's awesome when it happens, but it seems so coincidental because of the speed of these things. Also, if you add efficient roamers, our solo lanes become more boring and we just put tanks in them.
Yep. The only other kind of big blue quote of note is on the subject of when Li Ming buffs are coming. AZ Jackson said simply, soon. Please give Calamity wave clear again. Please.
That build's doing okay. She's still in the bottom, but I think that build has a place, and I'm playing with more Li Ming players because of it. Lots of Calamity, lots of Cannoneer, and I expect it to be tame because they're probably seeing what I'm seeing, and we can expect that next week. So 3 weeks after Kira release, that's the balance patch. We'll be doing balance coverage next week, I'm sure.
Cool. Very cool. I believe we'll be doing it with Not Paradox as well.
Yes.
So tune in the next week's episode. But in the meantime, we have a strategy to talk about today, so let's get to it.
Choose a talent.
Choose a talent.
Talent? Ah, that seems generous.
I have a PhD in PvP.
So, Kyle, today you want to talk about target priority, and I'm curious to see how this ends up in Johanna land at all.
So, Blizz K. Goo posted on the Reddit that the order of prioritization when a building is firing, and you need to know how to abuse it. It's very, very important. This is how you actually dive. In fact, I've been watching a lot of the International this week. Such good TV. Dota having its basically, well, it's week long. So it's the Super Bowl, but it goes for a whole week. And it has been incredible. There is so much nuance, bogus bull to do in that game that it makes for just kiss your fingers, amazing esport that I never ever want to play again, because that's why I play Heroes of the Storm, because it got rid of all the bull. Like Star Wars co-op commander, and then you see Star Wars and you're like, yeah, or Star Wars, StarCraft co-op commander, and then StarCraft, and you're like, yeah, that looks good when pros play it. I'd rather stick to co-op commander,
which is
Heroes
fine.
Is co-op commander.
That's exactly what I've been doing, watching season 3 of the GSL and going, oh my god, these people are amazing. I'm gonna play against bots.
So if you choose to watch the international, they're always yelling, BKB, oh my God, Life Stealer popped his, you're not going to understand what they're yelling about. Basically what they're saying is they're turning on Unstoppable, and then they're doing something wild in tower range because they know they won't be stunned while they're there. And you need to recognize that as a legitimate strategy and use your various tricks and understanding prioritization from the buildings, particularly the forts, because they cast that slow as part of their bolts they fire. So the basic breakdown is map boss. So, bosses, immortals, stuff like that will always be fired on first now. Great.
Yeah, this is the hierarchy. Boss first, followed by occupied vehicle. Your Dragon Knights, your Volskaya, what the hell's the robot called? The Triglav Protector. There we go. I figured it out.
Next up is minions, mercs, and summons.
Well, technically, after occupied vehicle is empty vehicle. So if you all jump out of the Triglav in tower range, that is actually a cute trick you could pull off. You could get out, dump your heroics, and you won't have to worry about the shots suddenly targeting you because you are now out of the vehicle. The vehicle will still pull rank over a hero.
True. There isn't any situation, though, that there will be both a vehicle and a boss, or a vehicle and a empty vehicle. We don't have two vehicles at the same time. So the vehicles after boss.
Yes. Continue.
So you've got your minions, your mercs, and your summons up next. And then finally, hero. So this is what you are messing with when you play. You want to use minions and summons to avoid being hit by these towers.
I don't understand why anyone needs to do this. The bear takes the damage. What's the problem?
Okay, the bear goes in first, and because it's based on location, whoever's closest at the time it looks for a new target, the bear does a great job there. If you are Johanna and you don't want your Vala to be targeted by this tower, you need to run in first. And you've got Unstoppable, which makes sure you do not take the damage, or you got your shield, take the damage, but you don't take the slow from the tower either, going in or getting out. If you run out of targets on your minions, and you should count, you should say, I've got 2 left. That's enough time to get out. We're down to 1. We have to go. I'm about to be targeted. And if the tank, back up first, I may put someone closer in range. So you need to decide in your own league with your own retreat, pings, if you're actually going to leave or if you're going to tank this out, and you need to be the next one, the closest one to that tower when it makes its choice to be there and firing.
As the typically Rexar player, I do my body language is I move my bear or myself, whoever's getting smacked, although God, I hope it's not Rexar, to as far from the fort or keep as I can without actually getting out of range of the shots. There'd be this body language thing of, hey, let's go.
Right. Sometimes you won't have that bear. Sometimes you don't have a Johanna who can unstopple themselves and get out with a shield that helps them not take pure damage to their health that's going to wear them down for the upcoming team fight. You can use summons, which are on a higher priority than the hero, in order to make sure your team gets out alive or finishes the kill on a building. And if it's a fort, it'll give passive XP. It's a huge part of our current strategy on how to get ahead and make sure your team feels good about themselves and holds that lead for the rest of the game.
I think it's why Zagara, despite my own personal beliefs, is still doing very well in the overall win rates, and Zool has been coming back up again.
Zool has been doing some double soaking. It's been kind of a Lost Viking situation. Most people don't know our weird 2016 ways. Someone says, I'm Zul double soak, and everyone goes, but what about the lane he's not in? And someone ends up there, and you're like, no, 4 stack in the bottom. Come on. Zul said he double soak. Calm down.
It's okay. It's okay if your minions are not on the enemy's wall.
Exactly. Okay, so this goes a little deeper. So you're a tank. You need to go in there first because you want to motivate your whole team to burn the building, and you want to be fired on so Vala doesn't die. Because they do. Jaina's are really guilty of this. Usually because they get in range for a cone of cold, which means they're now too close to the building, closer than someone else.
I'm about to say, dude, when was the last time you played Jaina? You know you want to get that cone of cold on the building.
Yeah, it happens. Well, you want to pre-frost it, so your other spells, and then you start the machine gun because you're getting the cooldown reduction.
Yeah, you don't want your Blizzard's first wave to be the thing that applies the cold.
Exactly. So let's talk about Zagar, a great example there. 2 summons, well, multiple if you count the multiple roaches, but 2 summon spells, and you want your Hydralisk to live because it's dealing more damage. So naturally, you drop your Bile Drop on top of the fort. It spawns the roaches right next to it, and your Hydra is now safe. It is now in the 3rd priority of the target, Roach, Hydra. That's what you're thinking about when you summon here. So when you use this hierarchy and Johanna or anybody else is running away, you would drop a summon, even if it's your Hydra, so that it redirects onto that and stops shooting poor Johanna, or as we were just talking about, Jaina. This works with any summon, as Modan can do his. It gives him a lot of push power when he's by himself. Even better if he holds on to 1 stack of it and uses it to get out so that that priority can get off a fellow hero. You can also do this with Chromie Time Traps. It is a summon, and relieving your poor tank of 2 sweet shots of that fort is a huge uptick. Now, we just talked about summons, so let's give the warning here. Water Elemental, Tychus Laser are very important summons. And if you drop them in tower range, the towers will become very pissed off about it and will choose to attack it over a hero. Your very valuable summon will die. You might do this on purpose sometimes, but for the most part, you probably want your Tychus Laser to live as long as possible.
Yeah. The only time I burn this is if it's like if I think, because what do they soak? Like 3 shots, probably?
Yeah,
like they go down super fast. But if 3 shots are the difference between getting that keep or not getting the keep, is about the only time I will intentionally burn one of these high value summons.
There has been a huge amount of ripping on Nazebo thanks to fans' tier list that he put out last week. I'm not downplaying it. It's true. Movement speed and toads don't mix well together. Higher teal people will run away and not run into the toads. But Nazebo is able to summon a Gargantuan, which deals with the lane with a slam and helps destroy a tower. And if you put your zombies right on top, summon the entire wall sort of inside the fort, they will have priority over the Gargantuan. And your summon will be safe for the majority of its life and continue to burn. Meanwhile, you're throwing toads at the building. You should be able to solo a fort on Nazebo by understanding these target priorities. I'm talking no minions with you.
I still want Zeebs on Volskaya. I still love a Nazebo on Volskaya.
Yeah. Zone control is great. There's lots of really cool choices you're making with your zombie walls, and you're going to complete your toad stacks too, which is really nice. You're probably going to complete your Vile Infection for the late game, which is really nice.
Yep. So was Johanna getting out of tanking tower shots the only thing you had for me, sir?
Yes, but that should thrill you to pieces.
It doesn't.
Okay. Well, if you don't think running into tower range 5 seconds before anyone else is there, being a complete badass, walking around the back of the tower, zoning the team off it while your team burns, all the while you are under tower shots and surviving it all because of laws of hope and sweet shielding, then I don't know what can seduce you. Actually, I do know, and it's rather boring. Shield Glare is an amazing, amazing spell for dismounting heroes. It's not just for blinds anymore. It's a fantastic utility piece. Scouting, it's got it all. Also, the way you said, are you taking Conviction at level 4, the movement speed?
Yes.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't be doing that.
But then it's even more boring.
No. Sins Exposed is amazing. You put a mark on an enemy for 4 seconds and you cause any damage that's dealt to them to cause an extra 90 damage burst. And that scales. The number of times I've helped a Genji, helped anybody poke down, that's your lane clear. Everyone ends up getting on Johanna late game and they're like, I need Holy Fury for lane clear. I need I need resets. No. You just Sins expose the whole lane, suck it in, and the whole thing explodes. Sins expose is amazing. And there is one place you should take conviction, and that's versus Morales, because you have to go backline and stun her, give her a mini stun so the beam stops, and then you kill Vala. But I mean, look at Subdue hitting 2 heroes causes 80% slow. Like there's the math triangulating in your brain trying to hit 2 heroes. And to punish, there's more to do than just walk around as a beast and not die as Johanna.
I understand why she's important, and I want her tanking for me. I just don't want to be the one piloting this hero.
Okay. All right. It was a tough sell for me too. I remember just being bored out of my mind in the past. Maybe what we'll do is this Bonanza, we'll try to run a Bruiser Johanna for you, where you can do some Falling Sword, take that Roar talent at 13, let's see, give you that fanaticism that helps you book around.
You're gonna spoil me though. You're gonna spoil me. Then there's gonna come that game where I'm forced on to tank and I won't be able to do any of that.
That's true, but everyone should experience at least the chance of going Heaven's Fury at 20 with the lightning bolts raining down and the cooldown reset and all that.
It's so cool. That is very cool. I'm with you there. I'd rather play Johanna than Morales. I'm with you there, Dothlife, but honestly, Johanna is to tanks what Morales is to support for me. It's just, which sucks because I love my Crusader in Diablo. And I love Johanna's her armor kit, and she's got a half a mohawk. It's awesome. I want to play her, but I just don't enjoy it. But this is a personal problem. Thank you for having this therapy session with me and it being a failure.
Okay. Well, yeah, I tried. Mostly if you play Johanna, I don't have to. So, we all have our goals in the session.
I'd rather play ETC.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that works. Then I'll get to do Bruiser Johanna. So let's do that. I'm cool with that.
Awesome. Well, if you would like a link to the Reddit thread where this priority system for tower shots is located, you can find it in the show notes. Show notes are always linked at the bottom of each episode post. So head on over to amove.tv/IT and look for the episode 283 post. Scroll down on the bottom and click on the Google Docs link. You'll see exactly how we make the podcast and where we source all of the things that we talk about. But we have quite a few emails, so let's take a few of them, shall we? Oh, didn't play. There it is.
Stopped calling.
Does anyone else hear that buzzing?
Hold on. Darkness just texted me.
You can send your emails to itncast@gmail.com. If you're supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN, make sure you hook your Discord information up to your Patreon profile, because congratulations, you're automatically added to the patron-only Discord, and you can also ask us questions right there. Gene writes in and had quite a few things to say. It sounds like Gene's been having a hard time, but we're going to focus in on more or less the question here, which is that in some of these games that Gene has lost here, I lost more points than if I had just left the toxic draft I found myself in. I would have had more points if I had not played the game at all. How does that make any sense? 547 points for a loss that I tried my hardest, or I could have just alt-tabbed and watched Netflix.
That's a problem.
That is absolutely a problem. The fact that you can even lose more than 500 points seems like an oversight.
Yeah. It's, with games, it'll decrease your uncertainty and that'll go away. But the chance of leaving a draft, and they'll give you those points back over time if you see someone toxic in the draft, versus going through that game and losing even more points, that's no good.
It is. Short of taking the Boy Scout approach of every game is an opportunity to learn. But yes, it is. That takes a lot of positivity that I frankly don't possess. And yeah, I mean, this is just the kind of thing that is hard to hear and should probably be addressed. And I know that the whole system, the whole point of this all is to get things in line with the MMR, but the MMR is not transparent. We don't actually see the MMR. We just see the points. So I do feel, I'm glad to hear from the blue post, from the developer comments on the Bronze 5 situation that we talked about earlier. I'm glad to hear that they're considering Storm League a success and that internally they're happy with the results. But I really do think it has still failed quite a bit to inform us of anything. It's like I went from just shy of 400 point swings to over the course of just a couple of games, like reining into like the 200 range. And I don't know why. I don't understand why at all.
Because it became more certain about your place is what we can assume.
Yeah, but if loading into the game, I could see my MMR number, the MMR numbers of everyone I played with, and the MMR numbers of everyone I played against, I would have a better idea. I would be able to learn something. I would be able to understand why the system behaved in the way that it behaved.
Yeah.
So it's still obfuscated for reasons that are unclear to me.
And that's the problem, right? I'm fine with the gamification because I am deducing my own reasons for it being successful. MMR seems the answer to some of these problems. This problem in particular, though, because you would gain those points back after losing a draft to make sure that your rank and your MMR are tied together. Yes, with a pure MMR system, we could not have that punishment to scare people away from leaving drafts they think are bad or being toxic about it. What I'd love to see is now that we have that system, if we're going to continue in a rank point environment, let's use the system of gaining those points back from a draft disconnect, because it's assuming you did it accidentally there. Oh, you left. We want to make sure you get some bonus points as you go, 50 a game, kind of something. Use that for the toxicity. Let's have your matches flagged if you have someone throwing or AFKing. Don't give it back to me in a pile. Use the system you've created here to give me back those points over time, because they want you to keep playing. That's the goal. They want to make money. They want to make sure you're invested in this game. And
they also want to fill out leagues. Like they want to decrease queue times. All of these things are bonuses, are positive things in the eyes of the game creators. I mean, you are essentially describing loss forgiveness, Kyle.
I am. But shouldn't that like inspire us? Because what loss forgiveness, when I hear about it, means is I want you to nullify what I just played. And that is an opportunity to quit, because you just wasted an hour of my time, or 30 minutes here. I've been watching too much Dota. You wasted 30 minutes of my time by nullifying the game I was just stuck inside. And yes, that would feel better, but I want to know action was taken against that person, that they will no longer be a burden to this community. And I would rather have you use the shiny new recovery system to say, hey, by the way, 3 days ago, you played a toxic game. Your games are going to be worth additional points to make up for that for a time. Or if you go to lose, we're going to minus that out, 50 off your next game. Or 50 plus.
That I like. Okay, now I'm on board. Now you mentioned that. But putting the onus on having to win to gain the points back, I think just invites a larger feel bad from a gamification standpoint. But it's interesting. I hadn't considered warping the point, regaining points lost from the lever penalty into a way to also take an angle at loss forgiveness. That's interesting. That's interesting. If you include losses, I'm on board with this.
And I'm just talking about curving toxicity right now too. Like a toxic or AFK person will often lead to a loss, but let's find some reward in that report you put in, the way you help the community with an automated system.
Wouldn't we all just start reporting someone every time we lose, though?
That's a danger.
And you would probably target it towards the person that died the most, so you at least have like a plausible deniability.
And that's why they're on lockdown with loss forgiveness. It's so easy for us to say, where is it? Why haven't you come up with it? Because they know all these issues. They probably know it better than we do, and know that we will gamify anything. I mean, I always think of the Destiny loot cave. Like, what the hell, video gamers? You found a cave you could shoot into and get loot? Like, I just wouldn't. It's stupid. That's not fun.
I did it. It was all right. It was fine. It was fine. Think of the dumb crap you did in World of Warcraft. You know, it's kind of fun when there's like hundreds of other people there doing it with you. It's a little ridiculous.
I guess it's one thing to kite a boss back into a major city. You know, it's just weird that we do these things to ourselves.
It's still more engaging than most phone games. Anyways, the point I'm trying to
okay, yeah. I mean, we're going there. Like, sure, yeah. I mean, I've downloaded some stinkers. It's just why on Twitter is it constantly advertising something called AFK Arena? What the hell?
Because they paid money to Twitter, Kyle, to advertise to you.
I know, but what? Like, why would you name something AFK Arena? I want to be entertained. I'm already AFK. Literally AFK. Like there's all these like manage your own wizard shop, and I'm like, ooh, wizard shop, okay. And I have to click the iron button 100 times. That's what I do in there. Like, what the heck?
Now Paradox is in the chat room and is defending AFK Arena.
Yeah, is it all right? Because that video's butts. Either way.
Anyways, back to Lost Forgiveness. Yeah, it's like they should try something. Like I get it. Yes, there's a lot of versions of Lost Forgiveness, a lot of things that have been suggested that could be easily gamed. But like at the very least, can we target disconnects? Can we target disconnects? And you might say, oh, well, then someone will leave to do the Lost Forgiveness. I'm like, I don't know. If they don't actually give Lost Forgiveness to the account that disconnected and caused the flag in the first place, I don't think a lot of people are going to be stepping up to the plate to be the sacrificial lamb for everyone else's MMR.
Right. Well, let's suggest something human and insane here and see the holes in it. What if you lost 3 games in a row and ranked locked you out and said, take 20 minutes?
Why? Wait, sorry. One more time.
You lost 3 games in a row. Maybe it even knows you got reported for being toxic, and your button cannot ready up, and it says, take a 20-minute break, and a little clock is ticking.
I think there'd be I think that would do wonders for the keyboard industry, but sure, let's do it.
Right, exactly. Everyone would break their a completely sane process of, oh my God, you are clearly tilted, or at the very least, you're just not playing the best. You should probably take a break and go check on your cats.
Can we add like the Heroes of the Storm version of Clippy that pops up and says, you seem to be tilted?
Yeah. We have detected vulgar language in your previous games. Perhaps you should. And like there's like a checkbox that pops up like Clippy, and it's like, no, all my F's were F's. Yeah, like I was into the game. It's no worries, Clippy, I'm good. And then as it goes, it's like, okay, we're realizing the order of which you're using our various emotes has become rather toxic. So why don't you take a break? It's a sane idea, but this is why we don't have Lost Forgiveness. I know I'm apologizing for the developers. They don't need apologizing for here. But I think they're intelligent individuals, and they know that we would mess with it.
There are 2 hills in Heroes of the Storm I will die on in terms of they need to put this in the game, and I will not take anything other than it's getting added next week as an answer, and it's Lost Forgiveness and clans.
Yeah.
My corpse is sun-dried and mostly dust at this point on these 2 hills.
Okay. At least it's, mummified. Because it'll last.
Yes. I understand the challenges for sure. But Mazorski writes in and says, I'm just getting back into the game after a 2-year break. Are there any fan sites that will help with guides, builds, etc.? Which are the best? I found some, but they don't look updated. Is HotSlog still up to date? Since I'm just getting back into the game, how do you suggest I approach all of the new heroes and maps so I know what's going on? HotSlogs is not up to date, although things are happening. And that's all we can say about that. No idea how long it'll be until we get to say more. But there are other websites that are still up to date and working. Heroes Profile is one of them. If you're looking for stats,
builds,
it's a little more cumbersome than HotSlogs, but it still works.
Yeah.
There's also, do you know what I noticed recently, dude? If you go to HOTS API, which is where the stat sites pull from, it has like a list of all of the sites that use HOTS API. All are basically dead or broken, except for Heroes Profile.
And Heroes Profile is doing their best to be the golden child. They are in every thread about HotSlogs or Heroes Profile, making sure that they are expanding, aware, building. and they're doing what they can. It's complicated in 2019. When I hit filter, I don't expect you to work hard to filter. And that's where I'm sort of butting heads with the system. But basic win rates and just getting a build for yourself, Heroes Profile is a great place to look for that information.
Yep. Heroes Hearth is also still up and running.
Yep, and very up to date for actually looking at talents, wording, building a build for yourself that you might want to share out. It does have queued up contributors. So like if you go to Garrett, you will see a update from 2018. It's from July of last year. It hasn't really changed since then. You go to Muradin, you'll see the build we were talking about earlier from Not Paradox, which was updated in June of this year. So based on popularity and the number of loves and likes that it's gotten, it will populate a decent modern build for you, but you will see some out-of-date heroes. And for the most part, it matches what we've been doing for years on them.
Yes. Also, there's an open AMove TV Discord. You can find a link over at amove.tv. You can join that and ask. If you are a patron of this show, you can ask in our patron Discord. You can also write in, like you did today. If you have questions about builds, we'd be happy to answer those questions.
I also would like he's here by complete coincidence, but he'll be on the show next week. I would also like to highlight Not Paradox's YouTube, where he does make great short videos about how to do the exact builds you're looking for. And these are, they're made for YouTube. They'll say how to 100 to 0 someone as Cassia. Take a look at those videos. That's the sort of thing you want to be running with, and it'll give you an idea of how you execute the build on top of what the build is. And I think that's really important. You're not always going to organically return to the game, know why these talents are being taken. Sometimes some of you ask really great questions and learn organically.
Yeah. So, well, thank you for the question. It's always worth kind of updating everyone on where to find education for Heroes of the Storm. Cynical Panda writes in and says, "Hey guys, I have recently gotten into Heroes of the Storm and could potentially see myself really liking it. However, it seems like I am the only new player or even close to new in my games. I am currently only player level 80 or so, but I am constantly put into quick match games with other players who have player levels that are several hundred or even 1,000 or two above me. If there are other players sub-level 100, they are clearly Smurfs just based off overall gameplay and macro knowledge. I constantly get destroyed and always feel like I am holding my team back. I am rapidly becoming more and more frustrated and am becoming disillusioned. Are there any suggestions you guys have for getting through being completely outmatched in each and every game?" Focus. Pick a hero and stick with it, because you're adding so much extra work onto your plate if you're constantly hero hopping.
That's a great point. That one that I hadn't thought of. You need to learn the intricacies of a single hero, and getting destroyed over and over should teach you some lessons about it. It's rough because there is a dialogue that MOBA players have with each other. And when you die once, you move up on the hunted totem pole. And if you die 3 times in something like a tank roll, you will be focus fired like nobody's business, where previously, if you hadn't died, you would never have received that focus fire. You'd be peeling and getting ignored for the most part while people try to hunt higher priority targets. So your early deaths really do matter mentally. In the game systems, not so much. It's about experiment. It's okay when you're learning to die a little here and there. In general, you don't want to die, but they'll teach you lessons. I think one of the cool things you can do is vary your hero picks away from the primary body block, auto attack, lock on, high priority spell cast heroes. And in my mind, Abathur and even Probius are a really great way to keep playing when you've burnt out or when you're feeling frustrated with for me, it's all body blocking. I do so much tanking that when I play quick match right now, I am not body blocking. My poor friends, let's play. I'm like, cool, but I'm Probius. I'm Abathur. I ain't helping nobody. Another one of these I've added recently is Blast Wave Ragnaros with Lava Wave. You have a great bit of movement speed. You're zooming around faster than Ragnaros normally is. He's very methodic. He can be kited very easily. Blast Wave build, depending on the meta, is sometimes pretty damn good, and there's nothing truly wrong with it. And it's just kind of relaxing to close in on what you want to hit, slam it, lava waves, be a big building, and just kind of have fun. But I really, for a vacuum, for the capsule from Dragon Ball Z style of training, I think playing a bad Abathur isn't a bad way to go. You will learn some lessons. You're going to sit on top of some people, see how they move about. Just try to get all your cooldowns out. Try to do some body soaking. Sure, there's a lot of intricacies to Abathur that people will want you to do, but you're going to be an observer, and you're going to get to see the way people move and how they interact. And in quick match, I think everyone's used to a bad Abathur, so don't worry about it too much.
Yeah. The thing I did when I first got into this game all those years ago now, it feels like a lifetime ago when I was new to Heroes of the Storm, but I was also basically new to MOBAs. I had played a little Dota 2. I had been called a very derogatory term in my first game of League of Legends and immediately uninstalled it. Not a lot of MOBA experience coming to Heroes of the Storm. I mained support for like 6 months. I just played support. It didn't matter what game I was doing. I just, in the back of my head, I was like, I'm just going to follow my teammates and empower them to the best of my abilities. And I started just getting a second sense for when it's time to leave lane, when it's time to pull out of a fight, when it's time to engage into a fight. There are multiple supports. One of the best ones in the game right now, Lucio, where I think you could focus in on like one or two very specific things on Lucio. For example, just focus on when to use his activatable for his aura and focus on when to drop the shield of your heroic. If you kind of just dial those two things in, anyone in quick match, they're going to be happy to have you. You know how many quick match games I get into, Kyle, and there's just no healer? Lately, it's been no healer, no tank, and I'm just sitting here trying to learn Zul'jin going, why am I even here? I'm learning nothing.
Yeah, that's not, Zul'jin quick match is just awful.
It's
rough. My God. He's super weak to die damage, which Kael'thas, Lunara, as tons of people have, Kira, and he's super weak to stealthies who are going to ruin your sweet dingo moments or when you're trying to balance your health perfectly. It's just...
Yes.
Oh. Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to include my favorite fart off Morales build in our show notes today for you. And the great thing about it is it has a great level 1 auto attack talent to sustain your own energy. And if you're up for it, I'd practice with this because it's going to make you really good at positioning and it's going to make you really good at auto attacking. And those are two things that will serve you very well into the future. And guess what? Everyone wants to focus Morales anyway. So there's no difference if you die or not because people are going to focus you anyway. So that whole dialogue I talked about earlier doesn't matter so much here. And they'll teach you good positioning. And that's what you'll need for all the characters in the future.
Well put. Right back in, Cynical Panda. Let us know which advice you went with and how it's working out for you. And best of luck. And don't put too much stock into levels. At a certain point, it's just time invested. So.
And it's also hero levels. So a level 26 may have played one hero that whole time. And levels 1 billion have been trying all the heroes and are rarely experts. Unless they're Gazlo. Then they're just weirdos who play nothing but Gazlo.
I had a really big game with Gazlo earlier. Moving on to the end of the show. Thank you, everybody, for your emails. Keep them coming. itncast@gmail.com. Again, if you're supporting us over at patreon.com/itn, you can get added to the Patreon Discord just by adding your Discord information to your Patreon profile. And you can drop questions right in there. Kyle and I are in there every day. We can answer your questions on the fly. We can also add them to the show. And you'll also just meet some fine folks. So head on over to patreon.com/itn. And consider supporting the show. Every little bit helps, folks. Thank you very much. Also, huge thanks to our producers, Declan H., Cheesy Bob, Chris K., and Robert M. You can catch us live Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time right here on twitch.tv/AMoveTV. And you can follow the show on Twitter at ITNcast. Next week, we will be joined by Not Paradox. He'll be joining us. Another shout out to the patrons because we get to pay our guests because of the support over on the Patreon. But before we go, Kyle, you do things other than Into the Nexus. There's a lot of heroes on your stream. You're also about to become a dad.
That's true.
So
sometime in the next 3 weeks.
Where can people find you not only making awesome content, but maybe even, see some live tweeting of new fatherhood?
I'm going to do my best. Okay. I realize not every nerd is, changing diapers and whatnot. I'll try not to get too weird on it. But hey, it is happening. There is going to be a delay in shows, but until such time, you can check out all the shows over at KyleFergusson.com. That includes Kyle Explains, which is back with its season 2. You can check out DM Gives Inspiration, my Dungeons and Dragons hopeful show that is going to make all y'all fantastic DMs because y'all want to play D&D, but no one wants to darn DM the games. Y'all say you don't want to tank. Well, guess what? If you tank, you make friends. If you DM, you're going to make some real good friends. So check out that show over at KyleFergusson.com, 2 S's in Fergusson.
I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. You can find me tweeting about all kinds of nonsense over there. The Angry Chicken still going strong, still talking Hearthstone. I'll be on the Instance tomorrow morning. All of the podcasts I do can be found over at amove.tv. So go check it out. That's going to wrap it up for this week's episode.
Oh, wait, hang on. Since you're doing the Instance, where do people find this? Find the where are we going for Classic?
For Classic? We haven't had this discussion. Dude, you don't bury this at the end of the show. You should have mentioned, we should have said this at the top.
Okay, we'll say it next week at the top, but this week.
Yeah. Okay. I am starting Alliance side because I originally played Alliance. And I'm going to Peggle, which is a PvE server because I'm 32 and I don't have the time for PvP.
That is the best. You know what? Me too. All right. I've got dreams. I was on a PvP server for years, but damn it, if that ain't true. All right, cool.
I got to level 40 in BC on a PvP server. That was enough. I'm not doing it again. Stranglethorn Vale, that was an experience that I am glad I had. I don't need it again.
Alliance, Peggle. Sweet.
Alliance, Peggle, be there or be square, Kyle. I'm rolling probably like all night elves. I'm gonna have like my tune that I play only with my wife that's gonna level at a glacial pace.
Yeah, Diablo style.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna have my main and we'll see what happens. Well, probably awesome. The main will also go at a glacial pace because like I'm really liking Heroes right now. Hearthstone's in a really good place. It's about to get in a better place. It's almost like it's a good time to be a Blizzard fan.
Ooh.
Kind of feel, they've at least for me, for the games I like, they've dug themselves out of that 2019 rut as far as I'm concerned.
Well, excited people for that Classic.
It's exciting, man. You have your favorite edition of Dungeons and Dragons. That's true. 3.5. We all have our favorite edition of World of Warcraft. Mine is Lich King and not Classic, but I am excited for Classic.
Yeah.
So that's going to wrap it up for the show, everybody. We'll be back next week with episode 284 and not Paradox returning to the show. But until then, good luck and have fun.
Take care.